Alright, hello everybody, welcome to the Gold Standard Report with myself, Paals and Tronpaul, who is handling all the overlay shenanigans. We got a pretty packed show tonight, and it's pretty also, small, we don't have a lot of time for it, but we're gonna get things very fast. In Mumble with me today, we have Brandicus, who is the starting pyro and co-leader of USA. Hey Brandicus, how you doing?
Good, how you doing, pals?
I am excellent. We also have Doppel, who is the starting spy and leader of Space Bears. Hi, Doppel.
Hello.
And we have Sky, who's the starting soldier for Tech Girl Cafe.
Hey, what's
How
up?
you doing? I am good. So we're just gonna jump right into it. Last week was Gravel Pit Week, a week that saw many interesting matchups and a lot of weird games because Gravel Pit does all sorts of weird stuff. How did each of your guys' teams do on that? Did you see any surprises in terms of the match results, and how do you think that the standings from that will kind of affect this next week? Brandicus, go ahead. How did your team do on G-Pit?
Well, we won.
It's always good.
But it took about 2 hours.
Yeah, I understand you guys actually had some drama unfolding in real time on somebody's stream in regards to the config and server issues. Can you talk about that?
Poor Jersey, he was just trying to cast it. Basically, we had 2 servers crash on us at the end of the first round. The second crash happened. There was a big brouhaha over whether or not that round counted, and we went back and forth and hit up every admin on the block. And it was basically a big waste of time. We eventually finally got around to playing it
And
at 10 at night.
Wow. And after all that was done, it was good. You guys got the win. There wasn't much contesting after that. You guys were good.
Oh, we filed a dispute and all that good stuff, but nothing happened, I guess.
Alright, Doppel, how did you guys do this week?
I think we did how we expected to do. We lost to the new AG team, but they're a pretty solid team. They had beat us in scrims in the past, and to my knowledge, they're undefeated in scrims right now.
Yeah, they're a pretty massive team. They got some pretty hard hitters on the team, like RR, Mangachu, and Giraffe.
Yeah, and I had played a little bit with R in the past when I was on Ranch, and that dude is just insane.
Yeah.
That's the Somalian Spirit Squad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now AG. That's a whole other topic. Their sponsorship. And Sky, how did Kakarot Cafe do on G-Pit?
We actually ended up losing 2-0 to Barking Sharks, even though we were
Ooh.
predicted to win, I think. It wasn't really a big deal. We didn't really get that much practice in. During the first half, we actually had a pretty good time of 5 minutes something. But we took out their medic, their demo, and a bunch of other heavy classes while we were backing out of B, while we had most of our hard-hitting classes still up. So we kind of just all sacked on B for no fucking reason and got wiped.
Yeah, that's the tricky part of
Yeah,
Gravel Pit.
It was kind of a dumb play, but it was still worth it, I think. It was kind of fun.
Yeah. Alright, our team, we were up against pregame tryhards. Some people predicted us to take a round off them, some people predicted us to win, most people predicted them to win, and they did win. They had Blaze and Cole went absolutely massive, going 33 and 11, I think, is what Blaze's final frag to death ratio was, and so that really just carried them into the win. We tried our best, and it actually turned out pretty close. Each round was down to the wire. It was one lucky thing that got them the win. But yeah. Let's just move right on along to the thing that is the hottest on the forums right now, which is the weapons that have been changed over the season and in the beginning of the season. The first one obviously is the Babyface's Blaster, which was changed in the off season, or actually I think it was in the playoffs of the previous season, somewhere around there, and is now all sorts of people getting mad about it, saying it's overpowered and that it should be banned, other people defending it. And also we have now the Reserve Shooter, which is the new topic for debate, a weapon that has been buffed to have an additional shot and a longer mini crit active time. Board disagreement, some people saying it's good, some people saying it's bad. So I'm going to open up to Brandicus, who is outspoken, heavily I know on the Babyface's Blaster topic at the least, and he's a Pyro main, so we might have some interesting thoughts on the reserve shooter. What do you think, Brandicus?
Well, the Babyface's Blaster is just... it's just not fun to play against. There are times when Scout can overextend like crazy, and I will move, my little pudgy Pyro ass, to try and intercept him, and he's usually just so fast that you literally outrun Flame Particles. Like, Scout versus Pyro was already skewed in the Scout's favor to begin with, but now it's just... there is no Scout v Pyro. It's basically... or really Scout v anything. Like, the Scout can kind of just pick and choose whenever he does anything and never dies.
Mm-hmm. And you think that makes it overpowered? You don't think there's anything that can stop it? Not like a heavy, a clever soldier bomb combined with an engineer? Like, you just think there's no way this should be allowed?
Well, you guys saw our heavy try and run Natasha.
Yes, that was a very interesting strat.
I mean, it's interesting, but the heavy gives up so much at that point just to counter one Scout. It's not really an effective trade.
And what do you think about the reserve shooter?
The reserve shooter is honestly still not that great. Like, I know a bunch of people are real huffy-puffy about it on the forums, but the one extra shot means that you can stay in an engagement for, an extra second, but it's still just incredibly situational and not really all that great. I would prefer the shotgun in 9 out of 10 scenarios.
Mm-hmm. Doppel, what do you think about these unlocks?
First, I think it's great that Valve is actually trying to put time into the game and, fix weapons that aren't being used. It shows they still care about their game and they're not just trying to make money off of it. As a spy, I'm also biased. I hate scouts in general, and the additional speed is ridiculous for me.
Yeah, I can see that being an issue. And also, you have a bias against Pyros, I'm assuming, given that you're a spy. What do you think about the reserve shooter?
I mean, I think I kind of jump a lot. I know a lot of other spies do, like Noko and stuff like that. And, I think it's good that there's a difference between that and, like, the flare gun, which everybody runs. I think it's a good...
Alright. And Sky, what do you think of these weapons? You play the flank since you're a soldier man. You obviously get to see the babyfaces in close action, and Pyro also counters you when you're trying to bomb. What do you think of these new unlocks?
Like Doppel said, I'm pretty happy that Valve is still cares about this game, but at the same time question who they're putting on the nerfing and buffing team. It's a little questionable with these last couple days, especially with the Criticola and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But after this, playing against the Babyface's Blaster, it does feel like you're playing against a class that really gives up nothing in exchange for so much. The original speed nerf isn't really that big of a deal, especially since one meat shot can take you from still faster than medic speed to ridiculous speeds. When I played against Tronpaul, it's really hard to hit him with rockets, with just about anything, even with splash damage, because he sees the rocket, all he has to do is change direction. It's not that. And Brandicus said, a heavy giving up the minigun for Natasha is just way too much damage to just nerf one flank class. It just feels like it's giving up so little for so much.
Yeah, the reserve shooter?
Reserve shooter, I'm personally fine with the new buff. It feels like every pyro these days already only run a shotgun or flare gun because those two weapons are already so powerful. So I'm glad to see some variety on the loadout.
So you guys both, Doppel and Scott, you talked about balancing weapons. A lot of people have said that they're balancing weapons for MVM, which is of course Valve's biggest cash cow right now. They get insane amounts of money from both the transactions made in the Steam marketplace, from MVM items and the selling of tickets themselves. Do you think that they are balancing these weapons towards MVM and not in mind with pub or competitive scene? I mean, I don't even think they balance anything for the competitive scene in mind.
In my opinion, from seeing the new MVM update, and the Australian weapons, MVM has definitely gotten a huge surge in popularity. Originally, I never even played it, but like because of the like a huge amount you can actually sell those things for, there's definitely the incentive for people to buy the tickets and play. And like with the new short circuit, you kind of just have to wonder what other reason would you use it? Like where else would it be fun to play against if it wasn't MVM playing against mindless bots?
Yeah. Do you think that the Babyface Splash then would that be balanced in MVM, or the Reserve Shooter would that be balanced in MVM?
Is there such a thing as balance in MVM?
That is true. But like the original Babyface's Master was pretty underpowered because your lack of ability to jump basically just cripples the scout in just very like small places, I guess. Like sometimes you can't reach a health pack, or sometimes you can't get into like a good position without sacrificing all your speed. But the fact that you can actually jump now with like one jump these days with the full charge basically gets you as far as a double jump anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are looking at this weapon in terms of 1v1, and that's definitely the way that where it shines. If you try to take 1v1s versus this weapon, you either lose or the scout gets away and you're left with very little health. I think that the answer that a lot of teams try to explore, but not at least successfully, they haven't done it against Tronpaul because Tronpaul continues to use this to his advantage in all of the scrims that we do with him. Is working like as a team to shut down just the scout instead of taking 1v1s against him. That's something that's why honestly I think that pregame tryhards they succeed very well against us. Not only because Blaze is insane DM, but him and Cole worked very well together on the flank and shutting down our flank. What do you guys think of that?
Still a clear advantage if your scout can single-handedly make himself that big of a distraction, as Sky pointed out, for giving out like nothing. That's a huge advantage. It basically forces the other scout to run it.
But you don't think that the damage trade-off from just having 4 shots is enough of a change then?
It doesn't matter. You're out before you use 2 or 3 anyway.
Like the fact there's no real like damage nerf to the original scattergun kind of makes it like you can kill a lone soldier or another scout before they can really react. Just like a normal scattergun, and if you fail, you can just get out.
The biggest thing with Scout is that they can be anywhere, anytime. You can check your back and then start moving forward, and they're there because they move so fast. And then with this, they're able to be everywhere.
And you force certain members of your team to go and deal with that scout, and then you have lesser numbers dealing with the rest of their team.
What would you guys? How would you think that the baby faces could be balanced?
Maybe an actual damage nerf.
Just straight up, just minus 25% damage.
Yeah, or whatever.
I don't think a damage nerf was probably the best thing.
I think anytime you mess with speed, I mean, the game started out with set speeds for classes as part of the balance. I'm not a huge fan of anything that makes things run faster.
Yeah.
I mean, well, then you're basically saying remove the weapon. Because if it doesn't have speed, then what's the point of it, right?
Yeah, it is like, without the speed, there is no reason to run this. It's not like the Soda Popper, which gains a different kind of mobility rather than just straight up speed.
Right, I think it's kind of their way of, hey, we've given everybody else speed, and Scout's supposed to be known for speed, so let's try giving him more speed.
Yeah.
Balancing a class through unlocks. A classic Valve.
Yeah. That's a whole other thing.
I think, I don't know, maybe if we played more CTF, it would kind of make more sense in that regard, where you could just grab and run, so maybe then, like a damage debuff would be a good idea.
Maybe if it had a much slower reload, just so you couldn't engage quite so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, those are all viable options. The question is, will Valve actually listen? I don't remember the last time they actually listened to any forum in regards to weapon balance. Well, actually, I think when the Paals first came out, everybody complained about it in like Steam support forums and whatnot, and I think they did eventually do a small nerf. but it still takes away uber percentage. Alright, so you guys have anything else to say about the new weapons? I mean, the Natasha was also changed, the shortstop was also changed, the short circuit was changed, but none of those really seemed like they were any good anymore, and short circuit is still banned.
I only wish they had done the opposite to the Natasha. I wish they had taken away ammo and removed the damage penalty.
I think that would actually make the Natasha more viable again. Because by itself, if a heavy is just picking up ammo every once in a while, he's not going to run out of ammo to begin with.
Yeah.
I think it's more of an NVM nerf, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Main buff.
definitely. That's what I was thinking too when I first saw it, because that's actually a problem in NVM is any class is running out of ammo because you're just sitting there shooting kids. And shortstop, I mean, it wasn't really changed that much, but I've never seen a scout use that in any division, like legitimately. You guys think that we'll see any play this week or this season?
On payload, I definitely think it's actually pretty good if a scout can just sit on a car and get the health regen.
I think in general, scouts tend to like the vanilla scattergun, and I still think even like with the baby face blaster, you'll still see a lot of scouts running vanilla.
Yeah.
Mostly out of a sense of honor.
Was that
I'm getting called out.
Oh,
I'm getting called out.
You want to say something, Tron?
The thing for me, like, the reason I defend the Babyface Blaster is because I enjoy playing with it, and we have faced teams that definitely have shut me down. On Lakeside, especially, I forget who Yum OJ was playing for or is playing for. Is that Poon?
Yeah, that's Poon.
Yeah, and he figured me out, and I was getting destroyed. I had to stop running Pretty Boy Pocket Pistol against him, and change up my gameplay because he figured out my my patterns and just air blast, flare, dead every single time. So it definitely can be done. The Bayface shines in catching people off guard, but because you don't have 6 shots, your staying power is vastly reduced. I find myself running to lunchbox to grab heals way more than I have ever in any season, just because like the downtime on it is so high. Like once you fire 6, you run away, or once you fire like 2, if you haven't got the kill, you have to run away. You can't like play footsies.
But as Brandicus, I'm sure, has argued, that plays to the strength of the baby faces then, because you can get away faster if you hit the shots.
Yeah, I'm waiting to listen for the downside here.
Well, the downside is you can't stay in as long. Like with the regular scattergun, you can stay in longer because you have 6 shots. Like when I get taken in on Ubers, I definitely cannot do as much as I might have with the scattergun because of the lack of shots. And missing 2 shots, like not having those 2 extra shots is definitely, I think people don't think about it as much as a downside, but it is a downside.
Well, yeah, I mean, without it, the scattergun would just have nothing on it.
You also mentioned the Pretty Boy's Pocket Pistol. That's also a weapon that some people have said needs to be banned because of the extra health it gives, despite the, 50% increase in fire damage? Is that what that is?
It's huge. I think it's like a 5 tick off of a degreaser in terms of fire damage, rather than I think it's a 3 tick normally. And fire really, 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 really hurts when you're running it. It's the best thing about the Pretty Boy Pocket Pistol isn't the 140, it's the buff to 210, because otherwise it wouldn't really matter. But the extra buff, because of plus 15 and then you get 150 of that onto your buff, it's so good if their pyros aren't touching you, and if you are constantly getting that buff. Otherwise, it probably would be better to run the pistol. I really do wish the Criticola had not been buffed so hard, because I probably would be running it with the scatter instead. But I like, because the Criticola was so good, but it got overbuffed.
Anything to say to that, Brandicus, as you play the counter to the pocket pistol?
I really don't mind the pocket pistol so much. You basically die off of every flare, but when it's combined with the baby face, it's very hard to even touch a scout. And that's what I don't like. The combination of the two. I think the pistol with the scatter is fine. There's an even trade there.
Yeah. Right.
For me, I mean, I'm sure it would piss off flank classes, though, who don't have fire at their disposal.
Yeah. Well, unless you're on the Cow Mangler and you fully charge that thing up and shoot it.
Yeah, good luck trying to hit a baby face with that.
Yeah. We're going to move on to the next topic here, which is the map of this week, which is Payload Upward. We've had some teams have done some scrims on it, some teams might not have. What do you guys think of this map? It's previously been a playoff map, and now we're seeing it in the regular season.
Should I start? Or?
Yeah, you can go ahead, anybody.
I like it. It's a good map. There's a lot of open spaces. There's a lot of pits to push things into, so, obviously +1 there. If I were going to change anything, I would make it I would just break up the sniper sightlines. I feel like they're a little bit too powerful, like on that hill after the first point. Or on the tracks on third. Just a couple zigzags, that's all I would do to the map.
Yeah, it's definitely a very strong sniper map. Doppel, what do you think of this map?
I really like the map. I think Highlander's kind of designed around PL, and I think it's one of the best PL maps that we have. I enjoy pubbing it. I enjoy playing it in matches. As far as Spy is concerned, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. And Sky, what do you think?
I actually haven't played Upward, in a competitive setting, at least, on a team, since Season 9.
Oh, definitely. Well, the map hasn't changed.
Yeah, it's definitely been a while. I was back in Steel back then, but I definitely really liked the map. I've been testing it out last week, checking it out again, and there's some really sick jumps I like, and I do enjoy some of the bombs that I can pull off, like double bombs, pogos, and shit that I can do on medics. It's fun.
Yeah, this map definitely is. If I could pick two classes that will carry a team on this map, it is Soldier and Sniper. The Soldier has so many great bombs, and Sniper sightlines are massive on this map.
This map is definitely the best payload map in Highlander.
Better than Badwater.
Better than Badwater. Badwater is a lot more choky in terms of its third and last, and I feel like Upward does a really good job of having some flanks for those hard to push points, like second and third and last, and you have a lot of options to deal with. And as a scout who has to push the cart a lot, that map it's so much more fun than Badwater. Badwater, when you're trying to push third and you're a scout and you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs, it is not fun at all. But this map makes it so that you have some options for how you want to play it.
Mm-hmm.
I love Badwater. It just needs some water.
Yeah. Do you guys have any special strats that you might employ or like to see on this map? Unconventional ones, if it's okay to divulge them. Your competition may or may not be watching.
Feel free to watch my stream later. I'll be streaming the first scrim that my team will be having on this map later.
That
That'll be fun.
plug. Oh man.
I know.
Doppel, you were gonna say something?
I was gonna say, we actually don't touch a map until Sunday nights, so we haven't gone over strats or anything. So, and since a lot of our guys are kind of newer to the HL scene, we'll probably do more of a standard type strat.
Just work off DM and stuff.
We definitely go over strat a little bit. Our biggest thing always is rotating as a team chemistry. So we'll just try to do the basics as best we can, and yeah, that includes DM.
Your team, looking at the roster of your team, it's hard to not look at it and say your team will have bad GM. Like your team, you got Sure Shot on Demo Man and Fracture on Scout. Like that combo right there, I'm pretty sure has scared quite a few people just looking at your roster. You want to say anything about that?
Yeah. SS is, well, neither of them actually main those classes, and I've heard, like Valand talking about how, like, Fracture shouldn't be on demo. Well, he's not on demo, he's on Scout. So, they're off-classing, which is great for them, and SS is getting better all the time, but he's definitely not the strongest demo in Gold at this time. I think by the end of the season, when she actually learns the meta and stuff, he probably will be. But he gets outclassed sometimes, and he's not the greatest jumper and stuff like that because he doesn't normally play it.
Mm-hmm.
Can I give a shout out to someone who's on your team?
Yep.
Dude, shout out to my boy Caffeine. Best pyro that I never got to play because I was in summer school. Oh,
Yeah,
now on heavy.
Caffeine's great. He played heavy for our first match. He's actually a sub for us this season.
He plays too much planet side. Someone save him.
I mean, at least it's not Dota.
Yeah, at least it's not the killer of Team Fortress 2 players. Brandicus, what about your team? You guys have any special things you might do, things you're going to look out for on this map?
Oh, yeah, well, the Brass Beast Heavy, the Rocket Jumper Soldier, Charge and Charge Demo. Come on, man, I'm not going to say anything.
The Charge demo in 4 is terrifying.
Yeah.
It is. So it's a back burner, though.
I mean, we've seen the Charge and Charge Caper plays before.
That is a very valid strat on any map.
Shout out to Coontunes. He asked me to call you all shit.
Oh, thanks, Cartoons.
Thanks, bro.
You're a nice person.
I agree.
As well. Thank you.
We're definitely not good enough. We need to get better so we can go plat and have the big E-pin.
Let's move on then to the schedules for this week. First we'll talk about the teams you guys in this Mumble are playing against. We'll start with Brandicus. You guys are playing Roll the Chat. Initially at the beginning of the season, a lot of people said that Roll the Chat weren't going to be the strongest team. Then they picked up Facon Sniper, and that seems to have changed their entire being as a team. What are you guys going to do against this team?
Well, we'll obviously try and focus the shit out of him. It'll be interesting since they lost Carolina. But Jarrett is also a fantastic demo, so we'll be looking out for him as well. Shout outs to RTC. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, it's going to be a very close match. I feel like that might be one of the matches of the week.
Yeah, there's so many good matches this week.
This is another week of amazing matches. It seems like we're getting good matches every week. Doppel, you guys are playing against Poon Platoon. Poon Platoon has had quite a bit of roster issues over the last few weeks. What do you guys? And I understand you guys don't you're not doing constant upkeep on what's happening in Gold. Are you guys going to plan anything specifically for them? Are you looking out for any of their players specifically?
I know Coop. I've played Sixes a little bit with him, and I think he's got pretty solid DM overall. And I know that a lot of people talk about them as being a pretty big contender. We scrimmed them once, and we didn't have much trouble with them. I know one time isn't really enough to make an assumption on it, but I think we're pretty confident going into this week.
Yeah. And Sky, you guys are coming off of an 0-2, even though many teams have predicted you guys to be top gold. And you're up against ChristianMingle.com, a brand new team, not really proven quite yet, but they're 0-1, and you guys are 0-2. You guys obviously want to take this. Are you guys scared? You confident? What do you think?
The last thing I want to say is I'm confident because every time I've been confident so far, my friends in the cuties has said it's going to cause us to lose. And yeah, I really don't want to be overconfident about this one, but I think we should be able to take it. The only person I really know from that roster is Trixie because I tried out for his team several times before in the past, but other things have already got in the way, like Sixes last season, and this season I joined Cat Girl Cafe. But I think they'll do okay in Gold. I don't think they'll be the worst or anything.
Let's briefly go over some of the other matchups that are going to be much watched and talked about. I think the one that stands out to me the most is Sci-Fi Channel Originals versus Pregame Tryhards. Sci-Fi Channel Originals won silver last season, and now they are 2-0 gold. And Pregame Tryhards is also seeming extremely strong and almost uncontestable. What do you guys think of this matchup?
They're both fantastic teams. I honestly can't pick one over the other. I've had great scrims with both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I might give the nod to pregame just because they have Blaze. It's definitely a factor.
Even though Blaze is going to be held down by the cart, you still think he will be a deciding factor in this game?
Yeah, for sure. Doesn't need to be on the cart all the time.
Yeah.
I'll make a prediction. I'm gonna give it to Sci-Fi. I think with Scissor, if I don't think pre-A tryhards will be able to put enough pressure on him as Sci-Fi plays around Scissor just as a team, and he's such a crazy sniper that I expect him to get all the mad picks and all the red flags.
Personally, I think that pregame tryhards would be taking this one. Mostly because of Cole, which is probably one of the best soldiers I've seen in gold so far.
Yeah.
Besides RR, I think he's the only other notable one. I think his bombs, and along with Cole playing the flank and the cart, I mean not Cole, Blaze, I think they'll definitely be able to shut down Scissor. I don't think Sci-Fi will be able to shut down Arts nearly as much because I don't think Sci-Fi's soldier is nearly as strong.
Yeah, Cole and Blaze are definitely the strongest players on that team, without question.
Yeah, I definitely favor pregame tryhards too. I think they have a lot of experience, which is going to be strong for them. I think it's amazing that Sci-Fi went from silver to top contender in gold immediately, starting out. And I know that S-Dog has kind of a funny history with snipers, and that could definitely be a concern for him.
Sestog does have an interesting history with snipers. Let's talk about another team matchup, the other 2-0-2-0 matchup, which is Apocalypse Gaming Highlander, formerly SSS, versus the Cuties. AG, I think, is pretty much uncontested in terms of their scrims. I can't remember who it was, said that they haven't lost a single scrim. And they're definitely the favorites to win gold right now. And Cuties, people are saying they're strong. This is their third season in gold?
I think it's their third season.
Third season, and they're trying to get to the top of the season, and they're definitely getting there. What do you guys think of this? Who do you think is going to win and whatnot?
I think the thing to remember with Cuties is that they picked up some EBM players, so they're kind of a hybrid there a little bit. I think Mambo's going to add a lot, and Pete has always been really solid. But like you said, I think AG is uncontestable at this point.
I think we've seen in the past demonstrations of solid teamwork overcoming raw DM, and I think the Cuties are capable of taking this. Mm-hmm. Just from teamwork. Obviously, in terms of DM, they're outclassed, but your boy Medaway and all them put on a show last season.
That is true. They did come back from the ashes of low gold to become probably the most solid teamwork team in gold. Now, Sky, what do you think about this matchup?
I was a former backup on the Cuties, so I definitely have a little bias there.
Yeah.
I think they can take this as long as they can shut down Giraffe, Mangachu, and RR. But those are really difficult classes to shut down to begin with.
Yeah,
they can make sure Mangachu can't get crazy snipes on Mambalay and RR isn't bombing them constantly. I definitely think they can take this.
That is no small feat, given
It's definitely no small feat, but they also have a lot more Highlander experience than other players in AG.
Yeah.
I cannot call that game either way. I think that Cuties combo definitely need to be more aggressive from watching and playing against them. But I think Danish is going to carry that game. Calling it now.
Any other matchup you guys are looking at this week and saying this could be extremely close, or this could really be a tell towards what this division might end up as?
Definitely fun game to watch would probably be Kids Next Door versus JK, in my opinion. Both are pretty solid teams, and I think it'll be the closest game this week at least.
Yeah, that's a rematchup of Season 9 Steel, I believe. Or was it Steel? Both these teams were in Season 9 Steel, weren't they? Yeah, I think they were. So, I feel like that could be a close game.
Yeah, that was the one I was going to mention. I think both teams are still kind of ramping up this season, and I think they're going to be in it in the long haul. I'm also looking forward to watching Cat Girl Cafe. I think I heard that there's going to be some roster changes and some moving around, and I think I'd like to see them get back in the game. And I think, it's long way from playoffs, they can still make it.
Yeah,
You better start winning.
Yeah, Sky, do you have any official statement to say about your team's roster issues? I've heard from multiple people that your team is dead.
said that he'd tell me stuff if he actually knew things, but I think he's just hiding some stuff from me. We'll see later this weekend from scrims tonight and tomorrow. I know P is stepping down because of computer issues, so we do need to pick up a new pyro, and there might be some changes going on in our combo.
Oh, P.
Alright, yeah. You guys have anything else you want to say to the wonderful viewers and to the mass internet of UGC?
All 30 of our viewers.
All 30. Trust me,
Shout
I'll
out
get
to Anonymous, you're a shitlord, and I hate you.
Okay.
I want to give a shout out to my team leader, Heartstrings. Thanks for putting up all the bullshit that our team gives you.
Doppel, you got anything?
I got a lot of stuff I could say. I know there's a lot of questions about my team and stuff like that. I'm definitely looking forward to this season. I know there's been a lot of comments about our team should be in plat, and we have 4 invites and stuff like that. If you read over the rules, we actually don't have 4 invites. Hasn't been invite since S12. Means no longer counts as an invite player, and he's a sub. Most of our guys are off class in the team, and to be honest, in most of our scrims we've lost. We've lost to the Sharks, we've lost to the Flying Dutchman, Apocalypse Gaming, we've lost to in a match now. And, I'm looking forward to a really competitive season. I also wanted to give a shout out to Twine, who's been doing a lot of work on his logs site.
Yeah, that site is out of closed beta now. It's an open beta. There's a thread on the UGC forums doing it. It's extremely good for seeing your competition and how they're doing in scrims versus everybody else. It's not quite 100% yet, but it definitely looks very nice. Except I have noticed there is a disturbing lack of Barkin Sharks logs on the site. So I don't know if he's trying to hide his logs or something, but Twine, where are your logs? I need to know since we're playing you this week. Alright, Tronpaul, I want to thank you personally for doing this overlay thing and being cool. And I want to thank all my boys on my team. They're in the bumble down below. Well, most of them aren't. I don't know what Kuz is doing. He's just hanging out in there. But yeah, thanks to all of them. I want to thank Medawi because he's a sad case of a human being. And yeah, I think that is the show. Thank you everybody for watching. The VOD of this will be up momentarily, and we will see you next week on Sunday, I do hope. Thank you very much.